Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Welcome to the show, Julie. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Happy it's Friday. Ready for the weekend.
Beautiful weather. The sun is shining in Paris.
A rarity.
This time of year. So you've been exploring France for over 20 years now, working in tourism and dealing with food and travel and all the fun things people love about France. But tell us where you're originally from.
Well, I grew up in Texas. I grew up in the Dallas area.
And what brought you here?
Oh, just a deep, deep, enduring love for France. No, I did a study abroad trip in college my junior year. It was one of those things where I didn't get a director position for something else I wanted to do, which was devastating at the time. But since my summer was going to be open and I was taking French and I needed French credits, I decided to look into a study abroad program. I chose France so that I could get my foreign language credits and just absolutely fell in love with France on this 6-week trip.
And now it's been a lifelong love affair.
Yes.
Years later.
So I'm so happy that I didn't get that director position.
It was meant to be.
It really was.
And you also are a host for 2 networks in the U.S., A Parisian Food Affair, and then Great Getaways France. Talk more about that.
Yeah, kind of crazy. What happened was when I was living in Paris, so I lived in Paris for 5 years. I lived in another smaller town for a year. And then now I've been going back and forth for a while now between the US and France. And now I'm back again. So at the time when I was in the 5-year stint of living in Paris, I had a videographer friend who was looking to start up his own business. And so I kind of said, hey, well, if you want to, it could be fun. I've got the food blog and it's starting to grow and we could do some videos together. And so we filmed a couple of videos around Paris, just talking about the top 10 things to eat around Paris and the best pastry shops. And he and his partner edited them together. They do have their own very successful videography business now. And so it just turned out that, we made these videos and I just threw them on YouTube and a producer ended up finding them. And she contacted me and said, hey, I'm looking for a host for one of our shows about Paris. And I think that you would be perfect for it. Do you want to talk? And I said, yes.
I love how all these things just kind of like domino.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works, right? Like once you land somewhere, things just kind of happen.
Exactly. It's like you never know essentially what sort of little bits and things, I know that you talk about creativity on the podcast, and it's like the idea of almost being creative in your own life can lead to a number of things. I think that's a perfect example. It's like, what was I going to do with that video? And I wasn't starting a YouTube channel, but still I suggested it and we did it and look what it led to.
I love it. It's such a beautiful story. And you also have your own blog, My Paris Food blog, Paris Food Affair. And so that's transformed into French Julie Travels. Tell us more.
Ooh, so we are actually in the midst of the transformation has not happened yet, but it's Yeah, I'm right. I'm in the middle of another kind of, I guess you would say it's a creative process in and of itself to decide what direction to go in. But so yes, I've had the food blog, Paris Food Affair, for 11 or 12 years. And I've always kept it going, even though I didn't have it regularly updated because I had put so much work into it in the first place and I never really wanted to let it go. But now I realize that, and so I have an Instagram account and I have the food blog, and then with the TV series and everything, kind of became known for talking about food in Paris and in France. And now I'm just realizing I actually would like to broaden what I talk about. I don't want to, even though I will still, of course, talk about food in Paris and food in Paris, I also would really like to broaden that to talk about just France, different regions, travel in general, solo travel. It's like I would really love to empower other women to sort of find their confidence through travel. And I think France is the perfect place to do it.
I couldn't agree more. And whenever I have solo female travelers reach out to me, they're like, "Oh, can I travel alone? Is it weird to have dinner alone?" No, no, no. I'm like, Paris is the perfect place to do that. Like nobody cares. It's not weird at
I'm
all.
actually going to dinner alone tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. It's really okay.
My friend invited me to this. It's actually a pre-opening of this restaurant. It looked really cool. And she was going to go, but she left for the weekend. And I just thought, I'm still going to go. Let's see. So I see it as an adventure. Like, could I end up sitting there and talking to no one and it's a total bust? Yeah, maybe. But more likely, I'll probably end up meeting some people and it'll probably be a fun evening.
Well, I mean, just showing up seems to be a great thing for you. So definitely keep doing that. Who knows what tonight will lead to.
Exactly.
So you've led tours all over France. You have to tell us some of your favorite places and why.
Oof. It's so hard to choose. And that's exactly why I want to transfer over even from just Paris to sort of French Julie travels, because I do want to keep exploring France and I really want to talk about the different regions. But what I love is that within France, which, okay, I grew up in Texas and France is about the same size as Texas, which I think is funny. But in Texas, you can drive across it for 8 hours and it's like the same views. Whereas in France, you have a completely different culture from one region to the next. And my personal favorite is Provence and southern France along the Riviera. I love the Mediterranean. I think the pace of life is just much slower. People are happier. It's sunny. Provence is I just think a dream, out of just a storybook. If you go in the spring or in the summer, it's just, if you rent a car, these hilltop villages, medieval villages, and lavender fields, and red poppies, and vineyards, and olive trees. It's endlessly beautiful.
Yeah, and the Parisians kind of get a bad rep for being like grumpy or unwelcoming. I mean, do you find that in the South?
Not like here in Paris, because I think the reason there's that sort of reputation of French people. It's really about Parisians because you're in a big city and it's crowded and you're always hustling around. And one thing I will add to that is I told my family this the first and only time they ever came to visit me is I think the reason people perceive the rudeness is because they don't understand the context of how important saying bonjour is before you interact with anybody. So you've got an American, for example, who walks up and just starts talking to a French person. And to them, that's this, it's offensive. It's like how rude. And you're speaking in English. So you go a little ways to just say, bonjour, parlez-vous anglais? And you'll see sort of a much nicer side come out. But you live here as well. So you know that it can be tough. I think, yes, in the south of France, people are just so much more relaxed, so much friendlier. Actually, this summer, I was, the past 2 summers I've spent in Antibes in the south, lovely little old walled town in between Nice and Cannes. And I was walking down the street towards the market one day, and there was this older woman, I mean, probably like 70s or 70s, I would say. And she's just walking down the street. And suddenly down to the left, I hear there's like a trumpet or something playing. She looks up at me and she goes, "C'est quoi ça?" She's like, what is that? And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, madame." And then she just starts dancing. And then I just started dancing with her. And I'm like, that would never happen in Paris. Like she was just like, do, 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 do. And we sat there dancing with her and then said, bonjour.
That is adorable, and that would absolutely never happen in Paris.
Yes, you're not even allowed to smile in Paris.
Exactly, you're not even allowed to smile. Oh, that's the cutest.
Yeah.
And what's something you wish more people knew about France?
Ooh, let's see. Something I wish more people knew about France. Well, there's so much more to it than just Paris, even though I am a Paris lover, obviously. I think the two main things are just the beauty and essentially like wonderful culture and food that there is in all the different regions. And then secondly, it would go back to this whole idea that, oh, the French are rude and unfriendly. And well, yes, Parisians can be a bit they can be a little harsh sometimes, but I tend to find that as long as you put a little bit of effort into understanding the culture and trying a little bit to speak French, it makes a world of difference. And again, if you show up and just kind of start speaking in English versus just having a little bit of an introduction to say bonjour, parlez-vous anglais, then they're going to light up, that you even tried. So I think a lot of times I just want people to know that there is a misconception around all French people are rude, when really it's oftentimes the visitor who is not adhering to the culture here, and that's kind of what has made them grumpy.
Exactly. Yeah, just got to adapt to the culture a little bit. And like you said, that bonjour goes a long way.
Yes. I remember one time reading so I used to buy different books about living in France and French culture and everything. And it said the one sentence you need to have in your arsenal, like your tool, anytime you speak to a stranger is bonjour, madame or monsieur, excusez-moi de vous déranger. It's like, excuse me for disturbing you. It's like, if you start out that way, it's like you're golden.
Exactly. I like that. I'm sorry I disturbed you.
Excuse me for disturbing you.
That's so cute. And what was something that surprised you about moving here? I mean, you've been here for 20 years now. How did it feel in the beginning? Like, a lot of people say it's lonely at first. Like, was there anything that really surprised you?
The hardest thing for me was finding somewhere to live. It's just really difficult if you are a foreigner to secure getting an apartment. That's really difficult. And the whole process of all the catch-22s that involve trying to move here. For example, okay, fine, you finally found an apartment. I had to go through an agency because I visited, I don't even know how many. And you have to come with your, bank account statements and your entire life history and blood work. And they still are going to say no if you're not French. And so I went through a real estate agent, got the apartment. And then what you need to do is set up electricity. Well, in order to set up electricity, you have to have a bank account. And so then you go to the bank and say, hello, I'd like to open a bank account. And they say, well, in order to open a bank account, you need an electricity, like a bill, like electricity that shows, your name on it. And I said, well, I can't open an electricity account without a French bank account. And they're like, well, you can't open up a bank account without giving us your. So it's like this kind of stuff is wild to me how it exists. That it's like, well, if you want to open an electricity account, you got to have a bank account. Well, you can't have a bank account if you don't have an electricity account.
It's like, everything is like this the snake eating its own tail,
Yeah.
What do I do?
So that stuff, that can be really hard, especially when you're, it's already a lot of change to move somewhere and to start up a new life. And I didn't know anyone, when I moved here. And so, there can be quite a bit of frustrations, but
definitely. I think that's
for me. I've also found that the wonderful things exceed the things that are difficult enough. Which I'm, you're here, so I think maybe you feel the same way. But it's like somehow, in spite of the crazy things and the difficulties and the inconveniences, I think all the other things are still lovely enough that I just want to be here, and I love being here.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, they say after you reach the 10-year mark, you either stay or go. A lot of people, it's like you've adjusted to the uncomfortable, it's just constantly adapting and figuring it out. And I remember my first year, I was like, I'm not staying here. This sucks. I won't be staying. 12 years later, I'm still here.
You made it.
Exactly. So tell us your favorite restaurant in Paris.
Ooh, such a tough one. I have a couple that have been sort of on my favorites list or in rotation. One of them is Chez La Mijan, which has been, around for, gosh, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 years now. Um, and I just have always loved it. It's in the seventh, and it's not for everybody. It's like it's hard. It's kind of hard to get into, but I just always found the food to be so good if you are an adventurous eater. And it was always just such an experience. Like you get your table at 8, and then you're there until it closes at midnight or 1. And Stefan Jego, the chef, he's in his little window in the open kitchen. He's just like clapping and yelling. And back when I first started going there, he also had a little bit of a temper sometimes and would get upset if something wasn't going right. So it always felt a little bit like a show.
Yeah, it sounds very theatrical. That sounds fun. I haven't been there.
Theatrical. And then one of my definite favorites for a long time was Au Passage. It went through a few series of chefs, and even though they changed chefs, the food and the atmosphere, it was small plates. They changed the menu sometimes daily. The first time actually that I ever went there, I went for lunch, and I already had a reservation that night with friends, but it was close by. They were open for lunch back then, and I needed to have a meeting with someone, and so I thought, well, I'm going to go. And we walked in and we had lunch, and I walked by afterwards and I said, that was great. And actually I have a reservation tonight, so see you tonight. And the chefs looked at me and they go, oh, well, we got to change the menu. What do you feel like? And I think that's so amazing that to have that so much creativity that you can just every single day be coming up with new dishes. And so that was definitely my favorite for a long time. To be fair, I haven't been in a little while. I need to go check it out and see how it's doing.
Yeah, now I need to go check it out. That sounds fantastic.
It's such a great atmosphere. It was just like, it was laid back and just like good energy and natural wines, which I love. And yeah, I always really loved going there.
So as someone who's been traveling for literally a very long time, over 20 years now, why do you feel travel is important to our lives?
Whew. How long does the podcast go for? No, it's honestly, it's been life-changing for me. And I think it is for a lot of people. You grow up in a certain, with certain people, certain viewpoints, and then you start traveling and you see, let's even say in the US, let alone Texas, but in the US, we're raised with this certain, like, America is the best country in the world. And, this is how we do things. And then you go and see other cultures and other people and other ways of life. And it just broadens and expands and makes you think, is there just one best way of doing life, or there's some things possibly that other cultures have and do better, than we do. For example, I used to always think kind of like, oh, the French, they take so much vacation and they don't really want to work. And the whole American work ethic thing made me think that was a bad thing. And now I look and I think, okay, they're doing it right. They're going on vacation with their family. They're not making work their number one most important thing in life. And so I just think, travel, not only does it change your mindset and your view of the world, but for me, it gave me just massive confidence, independence, taught me decision-making because things are going to go wrong and how to handle when things go wrong. It's just, there's so much to be learned. Yeah. And it's so much growth.
It's so important. It really changes your whole mindset, everything.
Yeah. I even had a friend who also, she lived in Paris for 2 years and she's 25, I believe. And so, for her, this was kind of a right out of college experience. And she said, after living in Paris, I feel like I can handle anything that comes at me. She's like, there's so many challenges and so many things that happen that, if something goes wrong, I am so confident that I'm going to be able to figure out how to handle it and deal with it because I've had to deal with so much here. And I think that sometimes mishaps in travel can sort of do that to you in a way that helps you to be more equipped for life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've heard multiple people say that. I feel the same way. And how has social media changed the travel world?
Well, I definitely have friends who, I have one friend from high school who we go somewhere in the Mediterranean every summer, either whether it's south of France or Italy or Greece. And definitely with the onset of TikTok, she does all of her travel research on TikTok now. And so we'll end up going places that, that she found on TikTok that she saw go viral. And sometimes it's great. It's a great find and it's beautiful. And other times it's something that looked great in the video, but when you actually went and had the experience, it wasn't actually that great. And so there's just an interesting, I think, mix between seeing something that someone does a video of versus kind of getting a little bit more information like you would potentially from a blog or, used to be guidebooks, that kind of told you like, here's what's nice about this place. And here's what kind of sucks about this place. And you make the decision yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like since with all these apps, like there are no secret places anymore. Like,
yes,
you want to go here, here's the address.
That is one of the biggest things. There used to always be sort of secret hidden off the path. And then it's hard because it changes the place, right? Like, when I was living here during that 5-year period, up until 2015, in 2011, I think it was, decided to book a trip to Positano on the Amalfi Coast because I just heard such great things about it. Like, you have to see the Amalfi Coast. And so I went and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I decided every year I can possibly go, I'm going to go. And I've watched it transform over the years. And it's become now, so that's a perfect example of a place that's become so over touristed because it's been popularized through Instagram and all different kinds of social media because it is beautiful. But now when you go, you have to go knowing that it is going to be crowded, is going to be filled with, with tourists. And it changes the place a bit.
Definitely. Yeah. I knew a woman that had been going there since she was a child and she used to just be a sleepy fishing town. Yeah. And she said now it's just totally wild.
Yes.
And talk about some of the best travel apps we should download when we're coming to France. Are there any apps that are really great when you're visiting?
Travel apps for France. The funny thing is I actually don't use that many apps when I travel, except for, I will say, this is a huge one, is when it comes to eSIMs, because I know that if you're traveling, let's say for a week and maybe your company, your phone carrier charges $10 a day or something, like, okay, fine. But if you're coming for longer than a week, it's not very, $10 a day is actually is a lot. And so I use Airalo. It's AIRALO. And that's where I buy eSIM so that I have data while I'm traveling, and they're all over the world. So I've used them for Thailand. I've used them for Europe. So I think that's very important. So you can, access your maps or your notes and stay connected. One other one I will say that I use sometimes, and it's funny because I actually am working for them. So it's like putting out a spot for it, but I do find it useful, is Get Your Guide. They have a lot of, they've sort of curated, things to do. It could be overwhelming to figure out, like, okay, I want to go on a Seine River cruise, or I want to do something in this town in the south of France, in Nice. What should I do? Where do you start? And I just think it makes it much easier on the Get Your Guide app to be able to find what to do in an area, to have seen reviews. You could tell something got reviewed 2,000 times and has 4.9 stars. Like, okay, that's probably going to be a good experience. So I find that helpful.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see the reviews always. And how would you define creativity in your own words?
Creativity. So I see creativity as the ability to see something in a new way. So it means thinking outside the box and stretching beyond the standard to bring forth something unique and impactful. It's almost like, I kind of see it as a trait or a skill and a way of thinking. So some people may have it more naturally than others, but I believe anyone can cultivate it. Although it is, I think, harder for some people, depending on sort of, are you left brain, right brain? Are you more logical? That sort of a thing. But I see creativity as sort of this magic oomph that brings forth something that didn't exist before.
I like that. That's really good. And what are some resources that have helped you on your creative journey?
Oh man, so interesting, because when I think about sort of, okay, what's my creative journey? It's been writing, it's been photography, videos, eventually, a TV show. It's just a number of things where even while blogging, when you're capturing photos, for example, you do have to have a sort of eye towards what's aesthetic, right? And to be able to make something beautiful. So with writing, honestly, I can go all the way back to, this isn't really a tool, but I mean, people and teachers who, kind of affirm that you're good. Like I remember elementary school teachers praising me, and they probably did that to everybody. But to me, it was like, oh, I can do this. I'm a good writer. And as I continued to write, I would have friends who would affirm that they loved reading my blog, or that it made them laugh out loud, or that they binged this whole thing in one sitting. And so not a tool, but I think people in our lives can be very key in sort of directing the way that we go and encouraging us to keep on going. But in terms of maybe, photography, it's like, man, I mean, obviously your phone, the camera quality, how that's evolved over the years has been amazing, that we can use that as a tool, and that we can use things like CapCut or CapCut Pro or Canva. The ability to create now, I find, is so much faster and easier than it used to be. And then certainly there was a time where I got into SLR cameras, and the whole deal. But I found, even though the photos are obviously so much better, they say that the best camera is the one you have on you or with you. And so if I wasn't always carrying this, kind of big camera, let's say in my purse or something, it's just nice that even an iPhone can take good enough pictures now, which I appreciate.
Definitely. I am a photographer, and many times I'll leave my big DSLR at home and just pull out my iPhone because it's just so easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I think it's heavy and bulky.
Yeah, it's heavy.
and for me, when I was doing, when I was really focusing on specifically restaurants and food blogging, I'm also someone who, it's like, I want to be discreet, And so for me to be sitting at a table in a restaurant and then popping out this giant camera, that doesn't feel local to me. That doesn't feel like blending into the culture, and so I like that there's ways now that I can do it and be more discreet about it.
I completely agree. Yeah. Sometimes it's just nice to be in the moment too.
Yes.
And what future projects are you excited to share with everybody?
Ooh, a lot of things. So definitely, again, I'm in the process of changing from Paris Food Affair over to French Julie Travels. So that's going to be coming soon, both with my Instagram, and I'm going to relaunch the YouTube channel, which honestly was just me throwing up those 3 videos that my friend made back then and just kind of let them fly. But now I really want to focus on starting to create different types of videos that talk about French culture, that talk about Paris. I just want to maybe walk around and just film and show people what it's like. So I have a lot of different ideas that I want to play around with. And like I said, I want to broaden what I'm talking about and the things that I'm creating. So France, different regions, food types, solo travel, how to move to France, nomadic life. I've been a nomad for 4 years now. And so for anyone who wants to do that, I could definitely give sort of inspiration and tips. But ultimately, I want to capture the beauty of France, and I want to inspire and empower women to travel, especially in France. So YouTube, blog, Instagram, travel planning. I'm going to create some travel guides and ebooks and courses. And also I'm going to go through the process eventually of buying in France. And I don't know where that's going to be, if it's going to be in Paris or Provence, but I also thought that might be fun to record on YouTube, to take the journey of what does it look like to decide where to live and how to buy here.
I love it. I know so many people are interested, so that's a great idea. And where can people follow along?
So currently it's parisfoodaffair.com, and on Instagram it's Paris Food Affair. But again, in the next probably 2 weeks, I'm planning to change it over to French Julie Travels. So YouTube is already French Julie Travels. Instagram soon will be French Julie Travels. And then I'll be also launching the new website, FrenchJulieTravels.com.
Fabulous. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us today, and we can't wait to see what you'll do next.
Thank you. Great talking with you, Crystal. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.